every day, more companies are announcing that they will no longer be requiring a college degree to get a job with them. More than half of the Americans that do have a college degree are now working in jobs that don't require one. And the stigma around not working a white-collar job has almost been reversed, as skilled trades people have started to significantly out-earn their office-dwelling peers. The decision to commit to an expensive degree is one that less people are making every year, and this is either a really good thing or a really bad thing.
So that has led some companies to drop a long-standing requirement, a college degree.
More and more Americans are asking themselves, is a college degree still worth it?
Student of college is absolutely insane. He'll be a senior next year, and then we'll have to be dealing with that, and we've been looking at colleges.
It appears that some companies are now hiring applicants who don't have a degree. It's leaving many to wonder, is a degree really necessary?
A college degree used to all but guarantee an upper middle class lifestyle in America, and that's because they were extremely rare. According to data collected by the US Census Bureau and compiled by Statista, only 7.7% of Americans aged over 25 had a college degree in 1960. In 2022, 37% of the population had one. This was almost a 500% increase in the number of college graduates that companies could pick from. Now, if you do have a college degree and think that you are still in the elite minority, well, let me knock you off that high horse. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, fewer than 2/3 of Americans are part of the workforce, so a college degree is nothing special anymore. If you are a worker that wants bargaining power in their career, you really only have two options. Your first option is to pursue an additional degree that once again makes you a rare and valuable hire, but even that is getting harder now. As of 2019, 13.1% of Americans have a master's degree or higher qualifications. That means nearly twice as many people have a master's degree today than had any degree in 1960. Degrees became too common in the workplace, so people responded by getting even more degrees. According to the workplace analytics firm PayScale, the average salary for someone with a master's degree is $83,000 a year, which is about a $20,000 increase over the national average for a full-time employee. According to the Education Data Initiative, the average cost of a master's degree is almost $60,000. The degree should pay for itself over a long career, but the numbers alone don't tell the full story. If you have the skills and the motivation to get an advanced college degree, you are probably earning more than the average full-time American anyway.
Hello and welcome. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop right into this one. And I know what you're probably thinking after sitting through that clip. You're probably thinking like, okay, how does that clip from How Money Works have to do with this post that you got from HBCU Fashions from Instagram? Make it make sense. And I'm about to get, you know what I'm saying? Give me a couple seconds. I'm about to cook, you know what I'm saying? I got the pots preheating right now, you know? So before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'm trying not to take up too much of your time today, but there are some serious changes happening in the workforce, which I have been noticing, and I wasn't really sure how pervasive these things were, but How Money Works video really highlighted it. Credentials as a requirement in terms of like, say for instance, the traditional college degree, it is losing prominence. There have been jobs that I looked for, where I noticed it was like normally some of those roles would have said, yeah, bachelor's degree, 4-year college degree, required. Now they're saying, some of them say things like 4-year college degree, bachelor's degree, or work experience. And some of them don't even have that listed at all. They just simply list the core competencies of the role. And this is something that started, I want to say, during the Trump administration, because there was a headline that I remember reading, where for certain federal roles or certain federal departments, I may not have it completely right, so if I don't, don't skewer me. But basically, like they did away with that degree requirement. And, you know, there's a question. A lot of black folks, I'll put it like this, assume that it's a good thing. A lot of people overall assume that it's a good thing. You know, there are these high paying jobs now that don't require a college degree. And the thing of it is, yeah, but not really though. And allow me to let me go ahead and set the table for you and where this HBCU Fashions post comes in. So, for if you can't quite make out what the lettering on the post says, I'll go ahead and read it. It says, "Had a mother get mad because I won't write her son a college recommendation letter, and I only do so for black girls. They face more roadblocks than black males, and we have to show them how sisterhood works. Anonymous." That's interesting. First the black girls as girls, but men as males. I didn't pick that up. Okay. There's a lot going on with this, and I'm not gonna get sidetracked. One take Drake right now. So you might be thinking like, okay, Dre, all right. So are you saying that you don't need her? Like, he'll be good anyway? No, not at all. Actually, this mentality that is being displayed by this post is going to be especially harmful directly to the people that it impacts. In particular, like with this post, this young black man, if this trend continues. But overall, it's going to become particularly pernicious to the black community. And here's why. If you have a job that used to say require a 4-year college degree and maybe even a couple years of work experience, if you no longer require that degree, that's not making that role an entry-level role anymore, which is kind of the impression I think some folks are getting. Like, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can't come off the street, apply for that role, and have a good shot at getting it. Honestly, removing the degree requirement really just sends us back to the good old boy network. And that I'm going to say it, for most black people, and especially with the mindset that a lot of black folks have, is really going to be harmful to us. Because so many black folks think that they can get everywhere they want to by simply outworking everyone else. And yes, there is I know everybody's heard it, like, yo, you got to be twice as good to get half, 4 times as good to get what they got. And yeah, I still think that's true even to this day. I can go on and on with stories of folks who, I got passed over for and completely incompetent. In some instances, I trained those folks and those folks' successors. But this is the thing about it. This author, I'm just going to assume she has the best of intent, and I'm not going to deep dive any further in that. But this is the thing. If her goal is to help black women, we have to realize that at some point, we're all connected to somebody of the opposite gender. And this is so short-sighted. And some of the comments under this post really highlighted it. Like, yeah, who are these girls going to marry? You do know that there's more girls in college than young men, right? And so on and so forth. And yeah, it's an AI generated. Even somebody flamed it up like, yo, you got 3 arms, but you can't write a letter. And I want to address one point, because some people watching this will probably even go to it. Like, okay, so she won't write him a letter. What's the big deal? The big deal is in particular for your geography, this might matter a whole lot more to some people than others. Having somebody who is credentialed, who can actually speak to you and your work ethic, that is big. That is huge. I mean, I guess to kind of put it in perspective, so that everybody can kind of better grasp it. Think about if some of your best performing roles throughout your career, you couldn't use them as a reference, or there was nobody there that you could use as a reference. Like, oh, I only give references to the female employees that work for me. Think about that for a second. Like, is it necessarily a nail in the coffin? Yeah, it could be in certain scenarios. It definitely could be. And this is the thing of it. We as Black folks have to, and I'm going to say this one particularly to the women, this whole notion of thinking that you can only do for one in a vacuum to uplift them, I feel is very flawed, and I don't think it's practical outside of the most minuscule of scenarios. Because at the end of the day, like is exhibited by this post, a woman is connected to a man at some point, just like every man is connected to a woman at some point. And it becomes a power dynamic in which you have infighting within the race of Black folks, while, as I already stated, the erosion of these requirements effectively sends us back to the good old boy network. Because how do you get these skills? I.e., you say the degree isn't required, but technically, yes, it still is. And the only other way to get these skills is to work a job that exhibits and builds said skills. How do you get that job? You're gonna get that job through connection most of the time, because you otherwise aren't qualified for it. And if you aren't qualified for it, do you see where I'm going here? If you aren't qualified for it through work experience, the only other way is through credentialing. So I really see this as something where, for minorities, they already, this already is kind of trending this way, but you're going to see more and more folks going to blue collar as the AI revolution is really coming for a lot of white collar work. So skilled blue collar labor, like tradesmen, think like your plumbers, carpenters, electricians, plumbers. Did I say plumbers already? Those types of roles in particular are really safe. Welders, those roles are going to be built upon. And in some ways, the administrative side of those roles may be made more efficient, to where maybe scaling a business beyond just, the immediate location and maybe a couple of the surrounding towns becomes a lot more feasible as well. But yeah, end of the day, we need each other in this regard. We can't have this type of mentality and be competitive in the new world that's coming. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people who are given extra hurdles to jump through when their racial peers are not. Because the reality is, without that business class, without those owners that you have proximity with in your local vicinity, you really don't have a way to get a guaranteed way to get work experience in the way that some of your peers of other races do. And this isn't to be hyperbolic or anything, and I am kind of speaking from a framing of us growing up in a small town. I remember applying for so many jobs for my first job before I got hired at Piggly Wiggly. And I remember speaking with my peers, and it was like, a lot of the white kids was like, yeah, you know, mom or dad was like, yo, you gonna get a job or such and such. You can't spend up all my money like that. Or someone was like, hey, I want to get a job. And it's like, all right, cool. And basically all of them came, at some point, this story all came to like, yo, I'll call Eric, or I'll call Mr. DeHay, or, you know, or whoever. And it's like, oh, dang. So, you know what I'm saying? They might not have even had to fill out an application. So that is the dynamic that is being doubled down upon with this change. And in order for both black men and black women to thrive and be able to be competitive and get a little piece of pie, mentalities like these, frankly, they have to die. This type of mentality has to die. We aren't serving ourselves by erecting barriers for ourselves. But that's my opinion. That's what I think. I'm gonna stand on it. I'm gonna stand on business. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Peace. Hope you have a great one.